And I give you credit on this because you have been kind of telling me since the season ended, like, you know, I'm stuck on this. Let's get it all now and win it all now and worry about the rest later. You know what I'm saying? And I think to a point, it's that okay. It's a good mentality to have. I mean, we kind of get lost, and I did like looking at the Eagles, so to speak, and how they did it. Well, we not the Eagles, but I do. I think they had a good formula, and everything worked. And let's be honest, them guys was damn near healthy.
The
I mean, they
Eagles
only had a
draft
couple.
different too. That's why when
Yeah,
teams fans like to compare their team to the opposing team, you can't do that. Like that's a different
yeah,
GM with a different mindset. That's a team that's built completely differently from how we're built, especially on the back end. The Philadelphia Eagles have always predicated themselves on quality defensive back play. Going
yeah.
back to Troy Vincent, Bobby Taylor, Al Harris, Lito Shepard, Sheldon Brown. Like they've always drafted
Yeah.
really good corners.
That's right. That's right. And you're right, Walt. I mean, it comes, and like you said, that it's just, I guess, is you giving them their props because I'm not the kind of a fan that hates on another team, just because they're doing good. I give Philly credit. You know what I'm saying? Philly's not one of our rivals per se. Like anything, if it was a team in our division, you kind of have a balled up fist when you talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Because that's our rival. But you know what I'm saying? But it's because it's the Eagles, it's like, okay, I'm not one of them
Y'all in the
lying.
neighborhood, but y'all not on our block.
Yeah, that type of thing. I
Yeah.
don't think that at all. I think that obviously they're the model right now. They're the team that teams were chasing. Last year was the Chiefs because the Chiefs was a standard in the NFL by winning multiple championships in 3-4 years. So I think right now, this draft, when we get into it, and I give you credit. You've been saying, dude, like when I was talking about Max Crosby, I'm like, you had trade the next 2 or 3 first rounders for him. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I would have done it for about 2 years, but maybe I mean the asinine 4 picks. The next four. I mean, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be. You got to draw a line in the sand. And I do think Brad Holmes is the type of GM that he's not going to make a knee jerk reaction and just. I mean, I think that kind of like that about him as in terms of he won't get rattled. He doesn't really care what people think. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of tell the way he comes off. This last press conference he just had, before the draft here, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. He said some interesting things. I mean, he was real candid. Like, you know, I wouldn't mind trading down. You know what I'm saying? If I have to get more pick. And I think that in years past, like you said it in the pre-show, like if we're at 28 right now, all hell could break loose in the first 27 picks, man. You know what I'm saying? And some guys become available that wasn't available. You know what I'm saying? And it's amazing to me. Yeah, what's up, Roy? I know that's right. Man, Pistons. I'm WrestleMania fan. Pistons, WrestleMania. Yeah, Lions draft. I'm here for it all today, man. It's gonna be a great day today. Yeah, go Pistons. Pistons in 7, by the way. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna call that right now. So yeah, it's an amazing. What's up, super random too, my guy. We always get hype around the draft, and now you my calm enforcement because I'll be all hyped and I'll be emotional, and then you always comment. You like, look, dude, the draft. You cannot have a knee jerk reaction when it comes to the draft, and I agree with you, man. As I said, now it's about. Let's just say if they took a receiver at 28, right? I remember people would go berserk. I think like during the season, if you would say that, people say, "Oh, damn, we need a pass rusher." Why in the hell will you not take a pass rusher at 28? That's the glaring weakness of our team. But like you said, you and Brad Holmes even said it. Why pigeonhole yourself to say I'm only gonna draft a defensive end? What's up, Casey? I'm only gonna draft a defensive end at 28. I don't care who it is. It could be the seventh best guy, the fifth best guy, or whatever, and it might not necessarily be the right guy. And Brad Holmes did address that, and I like that about him, man. That part of it, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I think he's too safe sometimes, but But then turn around too. I just don't. This is what I was saying back a month ago, and I was still pissed about us losing the Commanders. Don't give me a player that's hurt, man. That's all I'm saying. Don't. I know that he was right on Jameson Williams. Remember, Jameson Williams was hurt, and then ultimately now we're reaping the benefits of us drafting him when we did. You know what I'm saying? Because he was hurt, we drafted him. Jameson Williams is going to be a top 10 receiver, I believe, this upcoming season, man. There's no doubt about it in my mind. In hindsight, he wasn't scared of an injury. So I'll let you take it away. That's the only thing I kind of worry. Just don't give me a guy like that. But let's just say if we took a Luther Burden III, which Luther Burden was like a guy that was really high at first, and we see it all just like James Pierce Jr. I mean, he was a guy that was really high at first. Now James Pierce, he might not even go to the third round out here now. It's just like Luther Burden III is absolutely worthy to pick him at 28, man. Do you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't even have a problem with him doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I don't know. I think I'm more higher on him than you are, but I'm just using him as an example because you see players drop, but or Tyler Booker. I think you mentioned him. Tyler, you know me. I told you Tyler Booker was going to be the pick. I think that in my heart, I think he's going to be the pick. But
the closer we get to the draft, I think if the right offensive linemen fall in that 22 to 28 range, and they continue to fall, and you start seeing wide receivers come off the board, maybe we get a shock and we get an extra running back that goes in the top 25, something like that. Now you have a possibility where, I think, like I said, if the right amount of offensive linemen fall to 28 or in that 22 to 28 range, I think offensive line is going to be the pick. The closer we get to the draft, I think we and you both are leaning towards us believe, not to say that that's necessarily what we would individually do. Yeah. But I think you and I both, after scaling through this entire process, combing through every Brad Holmes presser, every Dan Campbell's presser, to me, I'm picking up on it that the offensive line right now might be the most important thing, and they do view pass rush help. And I don't think they view the edge pass rush help as much as they value the interior.
That's right. I agree with
you. And I'm thinking they're probably leaning more so towards a 3-tech, a guy on the interior, not necessarily a Jalen Carter, but we've been talking about Walter Nolan for a while too. Yeah, Walter Nolan is a possible guy that could be there at 28. Like, I really believe they feel that, listen, Aiden will be back healthy when he's back. We're not going to rush him back. Marcus Davenport, we have him. We plan on getting a couple more defensive ends, maybe D-end linebacker, mesh type players later on in the draft. So now we have a situation where we could do what we honestly want to do at 28. And if you look at the way Brad Holmes handles free agency, you have to handle the draft picks the way he does. This is another reason why I've been saying for the past couple of years during the trade deadline epic, that's not going to happen. Like, if y'all want a man who doesn't spend money in free agency and values the NFL draft to take his draft picks and throw them at another player on another team, he's not doing that. This man values the draft. He loves the draft. The draft is his baby. This is his time of year. And he's not surrendering those picks. The only way he's surrendering draft picks is if it's during the NFL draft and it's for him to either move up or move back, as you said. So I think overall, man, and just to comment on Luther Burden for a second too, which is odd because, he didn't have any issues off the field. There was some talks about, maybe his attitude a little bit at Missouri. Yeah. Him and Kyron Lacy were in the same high school class, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember when both of those kids, I was following both of them on Instagram their senior years of high school, which is the whole Kyron Lacy situation is awful.
It's traffic, man.
It's awful for the person that was out there on the road when that happened. Yeah. It's and not to make up any excuses for him. I just think that when you look at Lacy, you're talking about and we got to stop assuming that once these kids turn 18 that they're adults.
Nope. That's right.
Mentally, they're adults because mentally they're not. And you're asking a 23-year-old, at the time, I believe he was 23 when this situation happened. Yeah. Everything that he worked hard for in his life, he's been all about football since the age of 6. So everything in his life has been aimed towards football, getting to the NFL. And now because of one massive mistake you made one evening, that dream is done. We talked about Henry Ruggs a few days ago. Like, the dream is done now. And at least Henry Ruggs made it to the NFL. But if you look at Lacy, the dream is gone. This boy knew good and well he was facing a large amount of his adult life in prison. And, as 40-year-old adults, 30-year-old adults, 50-year-old adults, we can say how we think we will handle a massive issue like that, but we don't know. I don't know how 23-year-old me would handle that type of pressure, honestly. And I just think that these kids nowadays, man, they're athletes. They got thousands of followers on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all this other stuff. How many people do they have to actually love them? And that's the difference. People love them and care about them. People who they can sit down to talk to, because you can have 50,000, 150,000 subscribers. Followers doesn't mean shit if none of them really give a damn about you outside of you catching touchdowns.
That's right.
And I
That's
just
right.
think it's horrible. It's horrible that the situation had to end like that. But back to the topic. So yeah, he and Luther Burton, I believe, were in the same high school class. I've been following both for a while. Like, this is all Lacy, not Lacy, but this is all Luther Burton been living for also.
Mhm.
You know.
And what if we? I thought about this too, Walt. What if a scenario in the draft come? Because remember, it's always unexpected stuff that come in the draft. What if we got an opportunity? I was thinking about this, to draft Luther Burden, and then we get a James Pierce at 60. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, that could be a possibility, or maybe trade down and get both those guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to think of scenarios that happens, because let's be honest. I think the wild card, how many quarterbacks go in the first 25 picks? Is Jackson Dart? Is somebody gonna really fall in love with which I like Jackson Dart, for the record. I do.
But that's a question. Like, we
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
take a quarterback in this draft. So, like,
Yeah.
do you how is the right guy there for you to value? Like, what if a Quinn Ewers is there? Not Quinn Ewers as 28, but we don't know how Draft Buzz conducts their simulator. So, what if Shador's there at 28?
Yeah.
Because we're kind of drafting like we're an expansion team.
Yeah. And see, that would be the only okay. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, man, because I want the best player. I do like that mentality, because Brad Holmes did say best player available. And at 28, you do have to, unless you're going to trade up. I mean, if you trade up, all bets are off. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Millie Mike? Mark, I'm sorry, Brent. What's going on, fellas? If you want to trade up, and then we know, well, look at Jahmyr Gibbs, look at Jameson Williams, look at we drafted Jack Campbell at 18, but I'm just saying that I think that if it's a particular guy he wants, Brad Holmes, I think he'll trade up and get him. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. To me, it'd have to be for an offensive lineman. I don't think you trading up to get a quarterback, right? Now, you posed this question. Now,
you talking about us? You talking about Brad Holmes?
Yeah, I'm just talking about. Well, I'm talking about Brad Holmes, not us per se. But like you said, I don't know if, like you said, what if Shedeur Sanders is available? Like at 18 or something, and then you sort of look at it like, no, we're not gonna draft a quarterback. Are we? Could we? You know what I mean?
Us?
I don't know.
No. I think I think in the first round, quarterback and running back are the two positions that are off the board.
Limits.
Anything else? I think a tight end at 20. You've been mentioning the tight end for the longest. I don't think they would necessarily do it at 28 unless they just value Tyler Warren like that, and they have plans for what they want to do with Tyler Warren, because they feel he can also help out in the run game as a run blocker.
Yeah,
so he's a guy that helps out in a multitude of ways offensively. But wide receiver at 28, I think it's possible. Cornerback, safety at 28, I think it's possible. Running back and quarterback now. If they took Shedeur Sanders, that'll be the story of the draft. What, 30-something years later, after Deion Sanders said that I'll never play for the Detroit Lions. They ain't got enough money for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Deion, we got your boy over here. I think that those are two positions that are pretty much off limits.
Shannon slamming Sammy Joe. He did say, "Now I'm in the Milrose camp. I am. I think that's a guy. I mean, I'm not taking him.
I agree too. I think Warren. I
I'm
had
not
Warren
taking him
going
that
to
early.
Carolina. Matter of fact, at my
Yeah,
pick.
yeah, yeah. Tyler Warren won't be there. You know, Tyler Warren's a damn good player. Best tight end in the draft. But it's some other guys that I do like. You know, I like Gunnar Helm from Texas. I like Terrence Ferguson from Oregon. I like Jake Brennan-Stool, but you can get him from Clemson. You get him later on the draft. I like your guy, Harold Fannin, Bowling Green. I've been really watching him.
Versatile.
Yep, that's really the guy right there. Other than Jake Brennan, for me, it would be Terrence Ferguson, or it would be
Think about it.
Fannin. Yeah,
We talked about Isaiah Likely a couple years ago.
yeah, that was
How
your
we
guy.
both loved Isaiah Likely coming out.
Yeah,
He was like that Antonio Gates-esque type, that body type, that versatility, inline, outline, a
yeah.
guy that can stretch outside a little bit. Hybrid. So I think Fannin is 6'2", 230, I think. So he's not the biggest. He's not the biggest, but he's a little too something for everybody. I call those type of dudes the Carlos Boozers of tight ends. Like I'm too physical for most fours, and then I'm too quick for most centers.
Yeah, that's right. What if well, man, I love talking to draft, man, because it's so many things that could happen in the course of the draft. You know, if you get a guy like, because I think it's going to be, and somebody did say in the comments that it's kind of hard to screw this up, man, at 28 to really like put yourself where you like, why the hell did you take him? But it's like, because I think this draft is, it's a bunch of good players. You know, I'm not saying it's a bunch of Hall of Fame gold jackets. That remains to be seen. But I do believe that, you know, you can get at 28 and at 60, let's just say if you stay there and don't trade any pick, or if you trade it down 4 or 5 slots, maybe 2, trade out of the first round, and then you get the first 2 picks of the second round or something like that, one of the first 2 picks in the second round, then you have your pick still at 60. I mean, you could do some damage, man. You really can. I think the main thing is how the top 10 is going to fall, man, because every year we see it with a quarterback, we see it with a player. I think last year it was man, who wound up going early? I can't think on top of my head. I think it was the Raiders. Whoever they took at that time, I can't remember. But it's always, last
Brock
year
Bowers?
It was something. Was it Brock Bowers? Well, we kind of knew that Brock Bowers was going to be at least in the top 10, but maybe he went a little bit sooner. It was a couple guys that really, like, man, he went in the first round. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's going to be like that too. Detroit fan, man, I love Gray Zabel. I think that he would be a guy that definitely, you know what I'm saying? You draft that kid, he's starting right away. I mean, he may be your best interior lineman day one. I think he's that good, man. So I'd be ecstatic if they get him, you know, and then you parlay that, give me Josiah Stewart, if all the edge rushers are, because let's make no mistake about it. If you don't take an edge rusher maybe in the first 2 rounds, then it's going to be slim pickings from there. You're going to be hopefully you can get a guy that falls. What's the kid from Ole Miss, Walt Princely? I haven't heard too much movement on him. I don't know kind of where he's staying. He's kind of got 3rd round pick written all over him to me. You know what I mean?
Princely was another guy that started this offseason, well, the prior offseason last summer after the spring ball. He started as a top 15 projected pick on PFF's boards, Draft Buzz boards as well, Pro Football Talk. So he's another guy. Water always finds itself. And if you go back to any draft year, if you go back to the prior summer, those final draft boards and those big boards never look the same. They never do because guys fall. Some guys are overrated. Some guys are rated exactly where they need to be. And, like I said, water always finds itself.
Yeah, like, after
that bottle. Dog over here chewing on the damn bottle.
That's your dog.
out the blue, though, you just want to chew on a bottle.
Well, you know you on there, so now
Right.
you want to mess with you. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Now, after Abdul Carter, right? Let's go to defensive end prospects real quick. I mean, Walt, do you think it's more of who do you like? Well, obviously, we know the scheme, whatever the scheme the team's running is a big part, probably 90% of it. But I mean, do you okay after Abdul Carter? I mean, do you think like Shamar Stewart, Mikael Williams, James Pierce, Mike Green, Landon
Michael Williams is
Jackson, who I
another
love
guy
from our
though. He like
yeah,
his stock is this them Georgia players, man. I think the lack of success a lot of them have had and how slow a lot of them have started their NFL careers is hurting a lot of their projections at the next level. Michael Williams is a guy who I haven't seen a range where people feel like he's either a top 9 pick, a top 8 pick, or he's a second round pick. But we don't know.
mm-hmm.
They may like him. They haven't drafted any Georgia players since they've been there, though. You notice that?
Yeah, 6'5", 265.
Right.
He's a slim, slender guy. You know what I mean? That build,
I think he's a
for a
tweener
pass rush. Yeah,
because he's not
because he's
that
6 foot.
developed of a pass rusher.
Yeah,
But he's elite
so
against the run. So that kind of makes me wonder, like, if they're going to a 3-4, he's kind of like that prototypical 3-4 defensive end. He's 6'5", he's 265. He's already elite against the run. He
yeah,
demands a double team, which you have to have pretty much in the 3-4 front. And he's kind of like too quick for most tackles. He's too quick for most guards, and he's too powerful and long for a lot of tackles. So I think with him, if
yeah.
he gets to the right system, he could develop into something. It's just hard because those Georgia defensive front seven players, man, they're super athletic. Look at not Walter Nolan, but Nolan Smith.
Uh,
Nolan
Nolan
Smith
Smith,
got
yeah,
to the
Eagles.
combine last year and destroyed it. And
Yeah,
everybody thought
he
that
went
meant he was
top
going to be a
10,
pass
bro.
rusher. Right?
Yeah,
And look how long
he
it took Nolan Smith to adjust
yeah,
to the NFL game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that was the
Look at
yeah. I'm glad
Trayvon
you
Walker.
Yep, Trayvon Walker, the Jaguars. Yeah, yeah. It's just interesting because, excuse me, and it will be a guy at 60 that will be available. It will be. I agree with Slim. So that's why we're trying to eliminate like the big Nick Scortons of the world. Donovan Izaraku, which I like Izaraku a lot. I don't
He
know if
got the
he'll be there
name.
at 60. Yeah, did I get that one right?
He got it. He
Brandon
got it.
Swinson from LSU, but I
Yep.
like the my guy from JT Tua Maialu from Ohio State. I like him too as well. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's flashy. I just think he does his job, man. And those kind of guys, they like the Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell. They hold that to proceed because Dan, he's the kind of coach that he don't want to have to hold you. He don't want to have to hold your hand, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
He
yeah.
feels like you're professional. Ain't nobody holding your hand, and that's what I like about him. I mean, at this point, like you said, well, you've been playing your whole life, through a Pop Warner, through high school, through college, whatever journey you go through to get to the NFL, man. And he's the kind of coach that you have to seize the moment, man. You do, and to play for him. You know what I mean? And if you don't, if you got babe, remember Jameson Williams? I'm just using him. Everybody was kind of like, Dan Campbell ain't saying nothing about Jameson Williams, and he's not speaking on him. And remember when he first got here, and it was sort of like Dan was like, "We're working on it." You know what I'm saying? He's getting there. He kept saying he's getting there. You know what I'm saying? When is he going to be starting? Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a number 2? Well, he's getting there.
Well, we talked about it, man. It was about being understanding about the fact that Jameson was still a baby. Everybody saw what he did that 1 year at Alabama after he transferred from Ohio State, but Jameson hadn't played a lot of football, man. That was the same thing we kept trying to hammer into people's heads that, okay, you take a dude who was in a log jam at wide receiver at Ohio State with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and a bunch of other dudes, and then they had Marvin Harrison Jr. coming in. He left, went to Alabama, became Bryce Young's go-to guy that year, had a massive year, then tore his ACL. So his development was slowed already to begin with. You took a dude who was massively talented, had a great year once he had his opportunity presented it to him, and then he destroys his ACL. And then he has to sit and watch his entire rookie season for the most part. So but it's hard to get casual fans to understand that these dudes need time to grow.
Yeah, yeah. It's another. It's a batch of guys. It's another guy that I like from the combine. What I just want to mention, edge rusher, 6'3", 275, Ashton Gillett,
Yeah,
from Louisville.
Louisville.
You know what I
Yep,
mean? Good motor, man. I think that's another guy.
played a
You
lot
know,
of football too.
yep, no one talking about him, and I think that he's a. I know he'll be there at 60. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
If they
yeah,
don't take, you know what I'm saying? If they don't take an edge rusher and go offensive line or whatever position they go to, he's another guy. Savion Jones, from LSU, is another guy. 6'6", 280 pounds, ran at 470. I'm sorry, 474 in the 40 time. It's another guy. One more guy. What I want to mention. Oh boy, here, Baron Sorrell, another guy from Texas. 6'4", 260. I don't think enough people talk about that guy. Brandon Sorrell can play football, man. You know, he's played a lot of big games, a lot of high quality offensive linemen he's went against. So it's just some names I'm throwing out there. You know what I mean? Well, guys that we can get that, it's going to be in that 60 third round range. I think that at some point, just what you said about the quarterback position, I think that they're gonna draft a defensive end. They are. You know what I'm saying? Now it may not be who we want, but hey, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. I mean, I think if we would want, we're gonna want him and like him once he's in a Lions uniform. You know what I'm saying? But the initial pick might not be like Jack Campbell was. You know what I'm saying? Remember he seen Jack Campbell. We draft. Remember we was on air when we took Jack Campbell. It was like, kind of wasn't. We thought Jack was a good player, and he is. Jack Campbell's a damn good football player, but we didn't think 18 good. You know what I'm saying? So
no,
that's what I mean about whoever it is at 60 may not have the cachet, have the big name, might not have the media following, but ultimately, when he gets in the Lions uniform, he is going to be the right guy. Another guy on the offensive line side, Anthony Belton is another guy. I'm starting to hear his name from North Carolina State. At offensive line, I think he plays inside. I think he's interior, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong about that, but another guy. Once you get past the Mebo, Tyler Booker's, Will Campbell's, Gray Zabel, Wyatt Millum. Um, then you got to really start digging into these guys. Chase Lund is a guy that's sort of dropping. I remember we did a show on Chase Lund last year before he even declared, before his senior season from UConn. I think we did a video on Chase Lund, and he's like right now projected to be like a third or fourth round pick. I mean, and Chase Lund would be great value if you got him in the third or fourth round. You know what I'm saying? Because all the other linemen are gone. Just picking up top of my head here. So I do like Gray Zabel is the guy. He's, to me, at 28. He's a guy I would take him at 28. Tyler Booker is another guy at 28. I wouldn't even blink about it. Wyatt Millum is the guy. I don't know if he's a first round pick. I would rather have one of my top edge rushers, or if you want to go receiver, linebacker, however you want to do it. I think Millum would be there at 60, and I wouldn't, from West Virginia, I wouldn't be mad at that. But I don't know if I'd take Millum in the first round. I mean, I would rather have a top defensive player or top receiver, other than Wyatt Millum at that spot. You know what I'm saying? So
as big of a need as tackle overall may be, it's still not at that spot. If it's Millum on the board, it's still not kind of worth getting a guy that can actually change things game wise. So wide receiver is a spot that you and I both agree is something that we think they're going to address at some point in time. I think earlier than later. And what I mean by earlier, it could be a third round, because third round, if you look at some of the needs on this team, me and you may not view it as a stretch in the third round, but wide receiver is a need. If you look at what Golden Tate does skill set wise compared to what James Williams is, they need a wide receiver that fits right there in the middle. And Tim Patrick really isn't that. He's a tall, sort of a wide receiver, a possession wide receiver hybrid as a tight end. Tall guy, 6'5", with a big catch radius. Not very explosive, not very athletic. So they do still need that wide receiver that fits kind of in the middle. Could that be a Golden from Texas? It could be Golden because he's a guy. He's sort of that DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin type. Little bit undersized, but very shifty, very solid route runner. Dependable hands, a guy that consistently gets open. That's what they need.
Yeah.
Because they,
Yeah.
even though St. Brown gets open, they manufacture a lot. Well, they used to when Ben Johnson was there. They manufactured him getting open with a lot of rub routes, a lot of mesh. They used to get him open a lot. It wasn't just St. Brown out there beating one-on-one coverage.
That's right.
So
and then Laporta was the same way. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you good.
No,
so I'm not really familiar with this either. This draft buzz. I tried to start the draft after I selected the Lions, and they just simulated past our pick. So I'm trying to figure out now exactly how this draft buzz mock simulator works. But I do have the Lions selected. Everybody see I have the Lions selected right here. So I don't know if I did something wrong before. I'm going to go ahead and end the draft.
Yeah. And while we looking at this, Matthew Golden is a guy that kind of appeared on the scene now, because I thought, everybody thinking Golden's not going to be there around 28. Now, I was more high on Isaiah Bond, just only because I thought that Golden wouldn't be there, but Bond's got some issues, man, off the field stuff going on. So I don't know if teams are going to really shy away from Isaiah Bond, or he may not get drafted altogether now, or he may be, a mid-late round pick. You know what I'm saying? So with me, how all of Texas guys can play ball, man. Ran a pro-like system to me. So I'm all for it. I would definitely I mentioned Luther Burden, but hey, Golden, I wouldn't be upset about it. You know what I'm saying? 20, because like you said, I think Laporta and St. Brown did get they got schemed open a lot. Not so much St. Brown. I'm gonna give him credit. I'm gonna say St. Brown is polished in his routes. He's just not the fastest guy. I think that's what you can kind of take away from St. Brown. But no, you're absolutely right about him being schemed, and then him, rub route. And I think Laporta was the same way. So I think you need another threat, whether if it's another tight end or obviously another receiver, because just think about it. I want everybody to think about this watching. Yeah, I like Ricky White too, Brent, from UNLV.
The Chargers. That's interesting.
I like that. And all we need another threat. I mean, Khalif Raymond, God bless him. I mean, but he's not like a guy that teams are going to worry about. You know what I'm saying? So you need one more guy that just think if you add a Luther Burden or Matthew Golden to this offense, man. I mean, I want to be able to pull the lineup against the Packers or the Bears or the Vikings and still be able to score 40 on them. You know what I mean? I think that's what we're looking for. So, Walt, are you on our pick right now? Is that
I did. I know the last draft I picked the first pick. So if you want to go ahead, you can make this first pick if you want.
Wow. So we
got Draft Buzz, and I went off Draft Buzz chart. If we go back to the beginning, they got Travis Hunter going number 1, which is strange. I guess maybe they had Travis Hunter rated number 1 overall, which they did. Then they sent Cam Ward to Cleveland. Oh, that's horrible for him. Abdul Carter to the Giants, Kelvin Banks Jr. to the Patriots. And I thought it was interesting that we went ahead and stuck with Draft Buzz, their chart, because I like to do things off every website's own specific chart. That's why that way we're not getting the same exact draft over and over. They got Shedeur Sanders, number 6 to the Raiders. Matthew Golden, 7 to the Jets. Mike Green to the Panthers. Shamar. These are all things I could possibly see happening. Even Josh Simmons, the tackle out of Ohio State. People been real quiet on him. He's quietly probably the best overall tackle in this class with the most upside.
Yeah.
So Ashton Jeanty to 49ers. So these are some picks in here that were kind of up in there. I like Gray Zabel to Arizona. Like, Arizona needs offensive line help. He helps them out tremendously. But getting to us, we got Tyler Warren on the board. We got Nick Emmanure, safety from South Carolina. We got Walter Nolan, the
Yeah.
pass rush 3 tech from Ole Miss. We got Luther Burden, your guy, the wide receiver from Missouri. Jalen Walker, linebacker, Georgia. Colston
Georgia.
Loveland, tight end, Michigan. Malachi Starks.
Yeah.
So
Damn
there are
good
some
player.
players that are Derek Harmon. There's some players on here who are still like rated number one
Okay.
at their positions.
Okay. I'm
Tyler
gonna tell you.
Booker. So
Yeah.
if we making
So
this,
okay.
no, I just want to
No,
let
no.
the listeners know. So we kind of like rebuilding the Lions from the ground up. So we're gonna draft a player at every position. At least we're gonna try to draft a player at every position in this draft. So what are you
Okay.
kicking this draft off with, man? Because the
Yeah.
quarterbacks are
Good
gone, so we ain't
question.
got to worry about that.
Good question. Okay. To me, it's either between Jahad Campbell and Tyler Booker. Given, I like Derek Harmon too, man. I'm tempted to take Derek Harmon. Okay. I keep going. While Benjamin Morris, Xavier Watts. Okay. Wait a minute. Savania and Nick Skirton. Okay. I'm gonna go. Man, it's this tough right here because I like about 5 guys at this spot. Okay, I ain't gonna waste too much time. Give me I want the best possible offensive line to handle what's coming. Give me Tyler Booker, man. I'm gonna take Tyler Booker at this spot.
Okay, so we kicked our rebuild off with a guard, Tyler Booker, who could potentially be the best guard in this draft, may turn out to be the best overall offensive lineman in this draft. Dude comes from Alabama, one of the most. So you already know he's very well coached. He's a disciplined player.
Yeah.
He for damn sure in shape.
Yeah.
Brent DeWitt
Man, look at
says
all of them guys, man. All of these guys going.
Nolan more than held his own against Booker. Yep, 2 blue chip players. Slam and Joe said Jahad Campbell.
Yeah.
Me, I probably would have went Walter Nolan in that spot. I probably would have started it out with the interior pass rusher. But there's nothing wrong with Booker. Nothing wrong with Booker at all.
Okay, pick coming here. Okay.
Detroit Fan Man says, after what we all just said, if the board falls this way, give me Jalen Walker and just make him a D and keep it moving. I don't blame you on that either.
Yeah,
and then
I like Campbell and then Walter Nolan. I like that's a tough pickup. I would rather have the most stable offensive line to be right now.
No, I get it.
Saying obviously we need our D line, trust me, to be tight. But hold on.
Yeah, you got a guy at that spot that you view as a pillar player. Not necessarily a boom or bust high ceiling player, but a guy that's a damn good player, and I can trust him probably to start from day one. Detroit Dude B said Campbell fits so many roles on defense. You're right, especially if we do move towards 3-4. All right. So we see. This is what I'm saying. How's Malachi Starks still on the board?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So we started out with a guard.
Alfred Collins.
Right now, for me, Malachi Starks he's probably the number 1 player on the board I'm leaning towards. If we go through the rest of this, you got Azariah Thomas, cornerback, Florida State. Alfred Collins, I wouldn't take him at this spot though. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Wyatt Millam, Dylan Sampson. I'm not overthinking this, and I'm not stretching at this spot. I'm going to take the best available player on the board who shouldn't be there, and I'm going to take Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks gives us a guy on defense who can play that Brian Branch type of role. You know, he can come up and cover guys in the slot. He can blitz off the edge. He can play a little bit of cover 1, cover 2, cover 3. He can do whatever you really need him to do. And like I said, he's not a liability at all on defense. And this is a dude who started as a freshman. He was so good as a safety as a freshman coming out of high school that Georgia, they were already loaded because the safety, Lewis Seen, who got hurt for the Minnesota Vikings, he was still there. They were kind of deep at the defensive back position. Ringo was still there. So they were so deep at the defensive back position that year, his freshman year, that they had to get him on the field. They played him at nickel a lot.
Yeah.
His freshman year, and he was still one of the best players on the field for Georgia as a true freshman. So I'm a big Malachi Starks fan, not a big Georgia player fan at all. But yeah, Malachi Starks, I think, is a damn good player to start out as well. So we got 2 SEC players, man. So we started to build out with players. We got us a guard, and we got us a safety. Okay, so you back on the board, man. You got Andrew Makuba. Damn, that's tempting.
Yeah, that's
Gardner
tempting too.
Ham,
But
Charles Grant, Savion
there's
Williams, Joe
Alexander.
Guy, the wide receiver. Darius Alexander still on the board.
Yeah, from Toledo. Yup, I like him.
Milrow.
What
There's some
about? I
damn
want to
good
get
players
some.
still on the board.
Yeah, let me see edge rusher wide D tackle. We know Darius Robinson. We just seen him. I want to see. Let's see. Go down a little bit further. Well, let's see. Ransom.
It look like they all gone. By this spot, I kind of expected them to be all gone.
Linebacker. Terrence Ferguson.
I would say I would think by this time, if we were rebuilding the Lions, it's obvious we'd probably be going free agency for quarterback.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not. I'm taking.
I wouldn't take one. Not in this situation.
No,
right
not this situation right here. Yeah, because we got to get an edge rusher. Just to get another guy in the system. Keep going. Can you click on edge rusher? Because none popping up. I mean, it's like
none of them is that's because they like lower rated players now. So we like, look at this. We'd be reaching if we took an edge rusher at this spot. These dudes, 160.
What about the kid from where's Ty Robinson? Is he there from Nebraska? I mean, he's interior though. I like Baron Sorrell. I do. I don't know if Jordan Phillips. There we go. Okay, Jordan Phillips, Jermaine Caldwell, Ty Hamilton. Peebles. I kind of like him too. Ty Robinson way down there, man. CJ West from Indiana, you can get him late. Okay. I think the pick is going to be made here. It's look like I'm going offense. I thought I seen Terrence Ferguson on the board at tight end. Charles Grant. We already got our lineman offensive side. Go. I thought Terrence Ferguson was on the board for Oregon down at tight end. Give me Terrence Ferguson. That's where I'm going.
All right.
Okay, that's our tight end. I'm writing all these down. So we got offensive lineman, we got safety, we got tight end. Man, it's slim pickings. That's what I mean, man. If you don't get an off defensive lineman early, man, you're gonna be stuck here with just. I mean, obviously these guys doing their homework, and our listeners and everybody does their homework that watch this show. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows what they're talking about. So it is guys to be had out there. You know,
only thing about this is we passing on some really good players at other positions because we drafting one offensive lineman and one tight end and one wide receiver stuff like that. So we are leaving some really good players on the board. Trade offers. Here y'all go with these goofy trades, man.
Yeah.
All right, so what's left? All right. Damn, man. This is the only thing about it. Yeah, this is the thing about it, man. We kind of stuck.
Yeah, if you don't,
but
almost this is a good exercise because it's showing us who's available.
How deep you got to dig.
Yeah, how deep you got to dig. Right. So them first two picks are crucial, man. You know what I mean? Because
oh boy.
Yeah, Cody Simon, Jake Majors, he damn good center. Even though we don't need center right now, you know. And then two at corner, if you even thinking about taking a corner, I mean, man, after Jordan Hancock, who is always late. You know, when I do these mock drafts, Logan Brown's a good player from Kansas.
This is slim pickings.
Yeah, it's slim pickings out there.
I know a decent amount of these players. I'm gonna try to figure out what I'm gonna do, man. All right, so we then took a safety, we took a guard.
Ty Robinson, he's still there.
And then we took, what else did we take? We took a
tight end, a guard. We got safety, tight end.
Okay. I don't want to necessarily start reaching on their behalf because of their board, but there are some really good players still out here that I do like, man.
Yeah,
I'm kind of tempted to take a running back at this spot too, and Ali Gordon
from Oklahoma State. Chase Lund, he's a good pair. Baron Storrell still staring us in the face. Ty Robinson staring us in the face. Them two good players right there, man. If he could get both those guys, would be Excellent. So technically, we got to get a D lineman. We need a linebacker because remember we drafting position wise, as according to and a receiver too. Yep, we need receiver,
You think
linebacker.
about Kyle McCord. Even I did just say not to take a quarterback. Kyle McCord at this spot wouldn't be a bad pick. Um, man, it just ain't a lot. It's not a lot left. Jalen Lane, wide receiver, Virginia Tech, is a good player as well. Dorian Strong, cornerback, Virginia Tech. Both of these guys are pretty good players too. We could go with a Virginia Tech player. I don't want to kill too much time though, so I'm gonna go down. I gotta get somebody with some juice on offense, man. And I'm going to take. Where is he? All right, so I went running back.
You taking
To
Ollie Gore? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for Oklahoma State. Okay, I get it.
So we
I
pick
get
again
that.
at 196.
196, and then and granted, this is strictly straight up, no trades, just get the next guy for our team. Basically, that's what we're doing. Right now, I think we have to add to the all defensive line at this point, or get me a linebacker that I could use here, possibly in some special packages or third down situation, or you could. It's a pass rusher too that's still out there. It's a lot of interior guys that in this spot that you might want to entertain. Not so much edge rusher. I think right now you're kind of reaching a little bit to try to find you. Not reaching, you're just trying to find somebody. That's where it's going to be.
Yeah, because I mean, I think
A
this type
challenge
of
a little bit.
exercise is I think this type of exercise is valuable, like you mentioned, because it's not just next big name that I recognize still on the board. I'll draft him. Like,
Not draft
no,
him right.
you have to actually know a little bit about these players because you're taking one player at every position to kind of
Yeah.
fill out your roster. But
Yeah. So
I do like what we've done so far, though.
So we still need we need a running back. I'm sorry, we need a receiver, we need a defensive end, and we need a corner linebacker. Ironically, okay, in these spots. So here, what are we? 196. Okay, best available. Vernon Broughton. Go down a little bit, Walt. Let's see what we got.
All right, best available. We got Raheem Sanders, running back, South Carolina. Vernon Broughton, D lineman, Texas. Jaquez Hunter, running back, Auburn. Somebody mentioned him in the comment section too. Aronde Gaston, tight end, Syracuse.
Yeah.
Antoine Wells, wide receiver, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, at least name recognized wise, not a whole lot left.
Yeah,
Jason Marshall Jr.
Jay Higgins was, I think he won a top linebacker award in the Big Ten, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay. I already seen a couple guys. Man, we're gonna be SEC city here because I do like Kareem Reed from Utah, and I like Nazir Stackhouse.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Stackhouse because at least with Stackhouse, he gives you a nose tackle.
Yep. At this point in the draft, go down a couple more spots. He's gonna be my pick, but I just want to see who's after him. Couple. Okay, Jordan Hancock still there. Okay, because I like Jordan Hancock at this spot and in this area of the draft, but not now. I'm gonna take. Give me. Go down.
Yeah, he is safety anyway. We already took a safety.
Oh yeah, we took say that's right. They don't even have listed that corner on this site. Let's go. Yeah, let's go Nazir Stackhouse. Let's go.
Okay, so we're gonna go with the nose tackle, the experienced nose tackle out of Georgia. So this is what we've done so far, and I want to get to some of the comments in the comment section. Slamming Sammy Joe says so far solid picks. Detroit fan man says this is a tough outcome. I regret any safety pick in the second if we miss on this DN class this badly. Edge got picked clean in the third before your pick. Yeah, that's the whole thing. And it's just
Yeah,
we
that's
got to
right.
take.
That's right.
You kind of put in a position now where you need to take the pretty much the best available player.
Yep.
Jalen Lane, we mentioned Jalen Lane too. He was a good spot. I just Slam and Joe brought this up about running back before we took Ollie Gordon. You got to get somebody you need to score some points too. So you got a skill position player that can get out there. You don't have a quarterback, so you pretty much wouldn't take a wide receiver at that spot. Still there. No wide receiver worth taking. Let me get to this first. Take his screen. Hold on 1 second. Okie dokie.
Yeah. And the only thing I'm just going to say right now, if the draft turned out like this, I think people would kill Brad Holmes. I ain't gonna lie, because reason why, because like you said, the big name is not on there, But like you said, we know Tyler Booker's a good player. We damn sure know Malachi Starks at 60 is a very good pick. But people would say, well, why would you take him? And you got Kirby Joseph, you got Brian Branch, you know what I mean? But again, you still have to get like multiple guys that can do different things. I think if you was to take Malachi Starks, you could move Branch around, and he doesn't really have to stay home all the time. You know what I'm saying? Where he can kind of be a roamer. So I kind of like that idea. You know what I mean? To maybe get a safety. Teddy Buchanan's there. Teddy Buchanan, damn good linebacker. It's also Brew McCoy. I really like Brew McCoy at receiver from Tennessee. He's really good. Let's see. It was another guy late. Because when you get to this point in the draft, like you said, it's not the name recognition is out the window, man. You know what I'm saying? Basically, you just have to really know what the heck you're doing at this point, and that's why, Brad Holmes gets paid and the scouting guys get paid the big bucks, man. Jimmy Horn is really intriguing. Both the Colorado receivers. I like Webster too, but I think
That's
like
who I was looking for. I think you look like Jimmy Horn. Let me take a look at the wide receiver
take a look
spot.
at receivers.
I like Kobe Hudson of UCF as well.
I love Ricky White. I think him, and then you know what? I got some insight on what's the guy last name Tesla? He's got some wheels, man. I think
Jimmy Horn Jr. is still available.
Still on the board.
Okay.
But Tesla way better prospect than him, I think. Not way better, but I would say he's in the discussion now. I kind of got tipped off on him, so
yeah, him too. Reason I really like Jimmy Horn as much as I do is because he reminds me a lot of Tank Dell. I understand Jimmy Horn's only like 5'9", maybe 5'10", but this dude is uncoverable. And not only is he the type of wide receiver, and that's the thing about getting a wide receiver that kind of fits in the middle between JMO and St. Brown. He kind of does. Now, is he 6'3"? Is he 6'2"? Is he 6'4"? No. But he's a guy that can get open, that's shifty and explosive on his own. That's not really what St. Brown is. St. Brown is more stronger, a power wide receiver at his spot that they utilize in different ways to get him open. Jimmy Horn Jr. would give them somebody that can run damn every single route you need him to run. Smallish, but he's explosive. He's shifty. He's a way better version of Isaiah Williams. Remember Isaiah Williams last offseason? Out of Illinois? Yeah. You need somebody that can manufacture getting open on their own. And
spark plug.
You look at offensively, we took care of some spots. We got a defensive tackle. We got ourselves a guard in Booker. We got a running back. We got a tight end. I'm going to go ahead and take Jimmy Horn because I think if you pair Jimmy Horn with Terrence Ferguson and his explosiveness downfield, you got Ollie Gordon, an explosive running back. You got to be able to score some points. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll the dice on Jimmy Horn at this spot.
Yeah. I mean, it's good value at this point in the draft, man. We in round 6 right now. So, and just what you said, man, you want to have more options. you want to have more options for Jared Goff. You know what I'm saying? You want to be able to know that once you are in a game that you could score, at said time, at given time. It's going to be different ways that you're going to have to score this year. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a new offensive coordinator.
Well, I'm gonna say this
Yeah.
to Detroit fan man's comment there. We did have Darius Alexander on the board at that spot, but you took Ferguson over Darius Alexander. I probably would have took Darius at that
Yeah.
spot. Okay, you got Malachi Starks at safety. Give me a defensive lineman that can rush the passer. But still, you got to sacrifice something. You can't get the best player at every single position always. And I think so far we've done pretty decent.
Yeah. Go. What about
If
go
we get
linebacker?
7 defensive tackles. 1 second, bro. Detroit Doobie says if we get Stackhouse, that makes 7 defensive tackles. I don't see us keeping more than 5. Aline will come back, so that will be counted on Ray. Yeah, also thinking about there's a possibility that Reader could be a cap casualty, even if they don't cut Reader before June. Was it June 1st? I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if they don't, if they decide to not, if they cut him, I think they save $11 million, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think they will, considering that Aline won't be ready for the start of the season. Right, but there's a good chance DJ might not be back after 2025. So you and I also been saying, like, nose tackle Jamari Caldwell of Oregon was another guy we were discussing. They do need to get younger at nose tackle for sure. All right, bro, this on you. I took a wide receiver.
Yeah,
so what's left on the board?
Linebacker,
Jamari Harris, corner. We don't know any of these corners too much.
Yeah, go. Can you hit linebacker?
Sure.
Because Kane Madrano was a guy that ran the top.
Boy, Nick Teddy's still on the board.
I'm running the card up there. Give me Nick Martin. I'm running the card up there to get Nick Martin.
Yeah. So we done took 2 Oklahoma State players.
Yeah, Nick Martin, absolutely. At this stage of the game, dude. Yeah,
I'm good. Speed at linebacker.
I was looking for speed. I was thinking Kane Madrano from UCLA, but he down. Kane Madrano was the fastest linebacker at the combine. But at that point, man, if you get my guy Nick,
he's Buchanan too.
Do it. Yeah, Teddy Buchanan from Cal. I like him too. Slimy Joe, I like him.
All right, so draft complete.
Yeah. And just what one of the listeners said, I agree. Darius Alexander was a tough. I agree. It was tough trying to decide to whether you take him or you take the guy. You know what I'm saying? That's a for sure guy. This is what I'm envisioning. I'm envisioning offense where we not having no issues on offense trying to score, man. That's number one, because I think the defense is going to have to catch up. And I think that early in the season, if you look at not even early in the season, if you look at our games, we got 9 road games. And I think all of those guys, all of the teams that we're playing, if I'm not mistaken, has a quarterback that's dynamic, like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? We're playing teams that you're going to have to score some points, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the way our offense right now is constructed, we need to be able to score. You know what I'm saying? Because if you think about, like you said, Walt, just, and I like Tim Patrick. I think Tim Patrick was a guy that I was banging the table for to bring back. I like just how he fit. But you want to be able to give your new offensive coordinator new toys, man. You have to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're going to have to give them something to work with. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, what we have is dynamic as hell, but if you give an offensive line, if you give us Tyler Booker out there to replace Graham Glasgow, or if Mahogany, I would think Mahogany will start, and then just think if you line up your offensive line with Decker, you can put Tyler Booker at guard, you can have Ragnow at center.
Mahogany and
Penei Sewell. Let's go. That dude, you telling me right there, and then you got Glasgow who can play multiple positions. Somebody gets hurt. You got Awasika, you know what I'm saying, that can play multiple sides. And then if you want to throw in Kobe Sorsdal, you can throw him in there. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. Then you got, if you draft Terrence Ferguson, then you would have Terrence Ferguson along with Sam Laporta, which we need a tight end too. And there's no slight against Laporta that you're drafting Ferguson, but now you're going to have Ferguson, Laporta, and then you go a step further, and then you put Jimmy Horn with St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Tim Patrick. Man, I'm telling you what, that's a damn good Jahmyr Gibbs.
Well, that's what we trying to explain, man.
David Montgomery. I mean, well, that everybody would love that. On the field, it don't look good on the list of players that you're looking at on your screen, but on the field,
I think it does because we know these players. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it, 1,000%.
I agree. That's the only thing, like you said, I'm glad you backed me up on it. Like, okay, you're going to have to sacrifice some. So people would say, well, why the hell would you take Nazir Stackhouse and not take Darius Alexander, which Darius Alexander probably a better defensive tackle. But at that spot in the 6th round, look who we got him. Not DJ Reader. Aleem McNeil's out. He's not going to be ready until maybe if you're lucky, the end of October, November. That's what they're saying. So, and then he's gingerly going to be back, right? So he basically gonna miss half the season already. You need somebody, and I'm bitter on Broderick Martin. I've already moved on from Broderick Martin. So don't tell me I'd rather have Broderick Martin than Nazir Stackhouse or whoever else.
Not at all, man. I think, and I've been saying for the last couple of years, man, I think Nazir Stackhouse on that Georgia defensive line has, and this is going back to also since when Jalen Carter was there, when Jordan Davis was there, Devontae Wyatt, all those dudes, Trayvon Walker, when all of those dudes was there, man, this is going back. He's been the one constant. Now, I'm not going to say he's Dexter Lawrence-esque in the situation that Dexter was in Clemson, where he was the main reason Cleveland Farrell and Christian Wilkins were able to eat.
Yeah.
But I think Nazir Stackhouse, his ability to consistently take on double teams in the middle of that defensive line for Georgia was huge for everybody else. Now, the problem is that nobody else ate sack-wise because that's not what Georgia does defensively with their defensive linemen. They drop them a lot. They want them to get out in coverage. They want to drop them in spots and zones to get to the run game because everything at Georgia is predicated off of stopping the run, number 1, stopping the run, number 2, then get after the quarterback, number 3. But yeah, Stackhouse, man, we keep saying this. People underestimate the value of having a guy in the middle of your defensive line that can demand a double team. That's why Jamari Caldwell is a guy that I really, really like.
From Oregon,
moving forward. Yes. Yes, you have to have your edge rushers can't eat unless you have somebody in the middle.
Right. They eat up some space, man.
That can wreak some havoc.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That's right. And just what, and I'm gonna defend your pick with Malachi Starks. I mean, I love it because then think about this. We know our cornerbacks, everybody's still kind of shaky on Terrion Arnold, right? So you could lie, you're gonna have Terrion Arnold, DJ Reed, right? So now you could bring up Brian Branch to help. I mean, you could bring him up and legitimately do that now, especially if we run into 3-4. I'm gonna tell you, 3-4 defense might help this team because I think in that situation, Jack Campbell gonna eat because he a held sure tackler. And I think Brian Branch would be a menace. I mean, he's a menace already, and you put Malachi Starks back there with Kirby Joseph, forget about it, man. You know what I'm saying? Forget about it. Forget trying to do anything over the top on this team. And I think that getting the safety is very underrated around here, and people think we don't need it, but it's versatility, right? And
it's a blue chip talent too.
You can put different looks, and I'm willing to bet, Kelvin Shepherd, is probably thinking like, okay, I got 3 young quarterbacks in this division, and Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, and Jordan Love. I'm gonna have to show something different these guys haven't seen, and you can do that if you move Branch around. Malachi Stark's a damn good pick. I wouldn't first round. I would be not the first round. I wouldn't hate it, but Malachi Starks is a good football player. Well,
it's versatility. If you don't have a star corner, and we keep talking about the secondary, it's obvious Brad Holmes values, and a lot of it comes down to money too, because safety isn't as high
Yeah.
premium financial position as a corner. He would rather have an elite players at safety over elite players at corner
Hmm.
because elite safeties cost less. They cost substantially less
That's
down
right.
the line. Like if let's say Brian Branch was a corner, a pure corner, and he turned out to be as great as he turned out to be, or let's say Kirby Joseph. Let's say Kirby Joseph was an
Hmm.
outside corner instead of a safety, getting 7, 8 picks a season.
Yeah.
Man, next year Kirby Joseph will be a $60 million corner, getting 8 picks a season. You know what I'm saying? But he's
Hmm.
a safety,
Yeah.
so instead of paying him 30 million a year, or 33 million a year as a corner, as an elite safety, you can pay Kirby 18 mil, 19 mil like
Yeah.
that. And same thing with Branch. But man, you add Malachi Starks, because we've been talking about the cornerback position, period, how we're not happy with it. We like the DJ Reed pickup, but there's question marks around bringing a cornerback in
Hmm.
from a different. And we've seen free agent corners go to other teams and never look the same. And Terrion, he's the guy that we can't completely put our stamp on right now. Ray Straw gave us nothing last year. So we
Hmm.
if you have question marks at corner across the board, you better have elite safety play. So add Malachi Starks to
That's right.
Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, and let's say they can't financially keep both of those other guys. No problem, because I got a blue chip safety that fell to me at that
Hmm.
spot. I just think that when you add these guys, Booker, Malachi Starks, Terrence Ferguson, who's a different type of tight end than Sam Laporta is.
Hmm.
Terrence Ferguson can get
Yep.
downfield. He's more athletic. He's more of a wide receiver tight end hybrid. Ollie Gordon, I know he only had
Hmm.
one good year, one really big year at Oklahoma State. This past season, they had their issues. He wasn't as productive, but Ollie Gordon is a big, explosive running back. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we need. I think because Jamar Jefferson has been a guy that's been kind of man. Well, Craig Reynolds as well, been kind of manning that third running back. And I think that, yeah, I mean, you do got to get a little bit younger, some fresh legs back there. You know what I'm saying? Because Jameer Gibbs, we know he's the 1A, and you still got Money Montgomery back there, but I wouldn't be upset at that at all. You know what I'm saying? Get another guy that you can put in there and maybe, Jameer Jefferson, maybe part ways with him. Jamar Jefferson, you know what I'm saying? Because it just for him, it has. I liked him coming out of San Diego State. It hasn't translated on the field with him for some reason. You know what I'm saying? He had flashes, I think, of the year we went 9-8. I think Jamar Jefferson may started a couple games. He had a couple explosive plays, but he hasn't, you know. So I just want guys that maybe some new fresh legs in there again, or the new offensive coordinator. You definitely want to give them more options. Give teams a different look. So yeah, this is a good exercise. You know what I'm saying? Maybe hindsight, you could always say, well, maybe if we wouldn't have took Starks, we could have had this guy. If we didn't take Terrence Ferguson, we could have took this guy.
man,
It's
listen,
always good. That's why I do a mock draft every day. I've been doing one every day for like a month, and it been if I went one walk where I took all defensive players just to see what would happen, and yeah, you take all defense, and now think about it. If we don't take any, just think if we go and not take any receiver, we don't take a tight end, and we don't take offensive lineman in this draft. We went all defense. I mean, it would then you'd be at a disadvantage with your
listen.
offense. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that
I
type of
think people
thinking
need to
is.
move past the whole edge rusher mindset, because if you take this draft that me and you just conducted and you add those players to the
Mhm.
team that we already got, that's a damn good football team.
That's what I
You add
said, man.
Malachi
That's
Starks
crazy.
and Booker, Tyler Booker, and
Yeah.
Jimmy Horn Jr., who can also return punts. Like you add, and this is a
Yep.
4-3 guy. I understand it. Listen, Tank Dell, and I love Tank Dell. I was a big Tank Dell fan
Yeah.
coming out of college, coming out of Houston. Tank Dell is uncoverable. You can ask, even though I understand, see, every quarterback loves a 6'4" wide receiver like Nico Collins that can do a whole ton of things. Ask CJ Stroud about Tank Dell. Tank Dell is uncoverable. Having a small, shifty guy, fast guy. That's why I think a lot of teams were real big on Calvin Austin III coming out of Memphis a few years ago. Because I watched
Memphis,
Calvin
yeah.
Austin at Memphis play against a Cincinnati, and he gave Sauce Gardner all types of problems. But you're talking about 6'2" against 5'8" with 4.2 speed and super shifty. You ask any cornerback what type of wide receiver gives them most problems that they hate going up against? Small, shifty, fast guys.
Yeah.
Give me a big wide receiver that's kind of lumbering. I can deal with a big physical wide receiver. But them smallest wide receivers, real quick feet, real shifty, short area quickness give people problems. And like I said, if you take Jimmy Horn Jr. and put him in the middle of Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, he will fastly become Jared Goff's favorite wide receiver. I would guarantee that because Jimmy gets open consistently, and he's a big play receiver. Now he has some injury issues,
Then you
concerns,
open
but
it up. Yeah. Then you open it up while you opening up more running lanes when you do that. You know what I'm saying? That's a way you can get. Then David Montgomery, let's be honest, he may not have the explosive speed like Jahmyr Gibbs, and that will
Ali
open
Gordon is
up
more talented.
running lanes for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm
of
just saying,
course.
like,
But
if
you
you did
know,
want to
I
move
mean,
on from Montgomery soon, you could with a guy like Ali Gordon.
yeah. Yeah, yep. And you open it up running lanes when you do that. You can unlock. So just think another pass catching tight end, whether if it's, me personally, I'm Terrence Ferguson. But if you get a Harold Fanning, if you get a guy even later like a Jake Brendan Stool from Clemson, it's guys that you can get that could really, man, unlock something new with this team. And I think that's part the question, and I'm sure we're gonna do a ton of shows on it, leading up to the season after the draft. After the draft comes, 2025 is, how do we stay, consistent and still remain a contender, but we're enduring two new coordinators. You know what I'm saying? We're enduring infusing some young players that, maybe you talk about a Giovanni Manu, which the organization's still high on. Maybe they don't even take a lineman and say, hey, well, maybe I still think they will take
I would
one,
hope that they
but maybe
wouldn't.
they have.
If Booker was there at 28, I don't think Booker's gonna be there at 28. But if he was there and you passed on him for developing Manu, no.
Yeah, then right, because you were already behind the season. Instead of having your guard up, you got one hand behind your back. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be like that. And against Washington, we played that game with one hand behind our back. Obviously, one because of the injuries, but two, let's be honest, we just lacked anything on defense that no pressure, no anything. I think interior line, linebacker play was an issue. It just seemed like we was a step slower.
Do you think the week off? I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard some people blame it on the fact that we had the bye or whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you blame anything on the bye? Because teams, you ever notice that you see number one seeds come out of that bye in a slumber? Yeah.
And they sluggish, a little bit. Yeah. Well, no, because I say we had home field advantage. So you should be familiar with everything. You at home, you with your family, you sleeping in your bed. You know what I mean? It's not like you had to travel, get on a plane, fly cross country or wherever you had to go. So you had a lot of familiar things that were around you that kind of made it comfortable, to be able to play in that situation. But no, I'm not gonna make any excuses, man. Washington came in and just I don't think that the rest, I don't think that was an issue at all because we kind of needed it. Remember? And then I think the rest was kind of our worst enemy with Dave Montgomery. I think that it kind of fooled us into thinking that it was enough time for him to come back. Remember? And then we try to rush him back, and he clearly wasn't ready to come back. You know what I'm saying? We tried to
force fed him the football.
And
as soon as he came back.
Yeah, and that was the wrong move. You know what I'm saying? Think about people that automatically want to push Aiden Hutchinson back in there and push Elaine McNeil back in there. That's even though Hutch has been rehabbing for months, so his situation might be different. But I think Elaine McNeil kind of troublesome, man, to start the season. They on record saying that he's not going to be ready when the start of the season comes. So that's an issue. So you would think that we would get another guy on the defensive line that that could help us. Like, you know what I'm saying, starting September 11th or whenever the season starts. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking for. And Mikal Wingo, I think they got high hopes for him. Now, I don't know the severity of his. I don't think he tore
No,
anything.
he'll be back. He'll be back. It's another
He'll be
rotational
back.
player.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, I thought this was a good exercise. Just fun to just look at the draft and see, how this thing could transpire. You know what I mean? Coming up in a week here, we're less than a week away from the draft. So Walt, you want to come back? You want to do our one final mock, or you want to maybe go around the NFC North and maybe talk about our opponents in the division? You know what I'm saying? Because it's been a lot of stuff going on. The Aaron Glenn calling Aaron Rodgers across the country to tell him your services no longer need. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, Chris Bird, I agree. If he doubled up on the defense, I would love it, man. I'm telling y'all, because I want a dominant defense. I do. But I also want to be able to keep that offensive line stable. And Tyler Booker, make the mistake about it. Or Savania or Wyatt Millum, Gray Zabel. Oh, man. If Will Campbell fell, Anthony Belton later on, if you got any of those guys, you don't even need to draft another guy. I think you lacking one guy. I think that's my opinion. Even because Mahogany can start, I just think the Glasgow thing. I think you need to move on because you got to replace Zeitler, and you got to replace Glasgow. In my opinion, I think Mahogany can do one, but you got to get the other guard position solidified. In my opinion, so
definitely. So I figured because we're gonna be back Wednesday night to do our final 4.0 mock draft for the Lions. We're gonna have trades in that mock draft as well. Well, if the right trade is there, trades will be available in that mock draft. But I figure we can come back either tomorrow night or Tuesday night and do an NFC North draft. We're not gonna draft bad players for the Packers, Vikings, and Bears. But we're gonna put on our GM hats for the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bears, and we're gonna draft for all three of those teams around what we think they need to do to improve as well. So it'll be fun to look at the NFC North from those teams' perspectives. Drafted for Ben Johnson and with the Bears and whatnot. Just to get a different outlook, because I think, with us, we try to make sure you guys and gals out there, you have a firm grasp on not only the Detroit Lions, but the Minnesota Vikings, the Packers, and the Bears as well, because that's our competition, in our division. So I want to thank everybody for joining us this Saturday morning. As usual, we love these shows. I get to get up early, have my cup of Joe with my extra big coffee cup, right here. And we bring y'all the content we know that y'all love and the content that y'all do deserve. So, like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining us. And we will be back tomorrow night, Monday night, or Tuesday night.
Let's do maybe Tuesday might be better. Yeah, Tuesday night. I think we can Monday, because then we can do Monday, Wednesday, and then do something for the draft. I think the NBA, I think the Pistons game 3 is going to be Thursday, the night of the draft too, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's on schedule. So, I think people will be in front of their TVs, in front of their laptops. It'll be fun to talk, while we talking the draft, maybe give updates, Pistons game, stuff like that that's going on. So it'll be fun, man. I think this is a fun week. This draft week, Walt, this is what we love, man. You know what I'm saying? This is what you got me into the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years. You turned me into a scout. So I've been kind of watching these guys, man. It's just going to be fun to see how it unfolds. The Shedeur Sanders thing is fascinating, where he's going to end up. I told you I would not even get too much into it. I'm just glad we don't have to take quarterback this year. Like, first, you know what I mean? Yeah, I would take one later, but just not. Quarterback is our first pick. I would be, man, I would be nervous a little bit.
Definitely. So. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, the rest of your weekend in general, and we will be back tomorrow night to handle the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bears mock draft. Till next time, one pride.